When you have wronged someone by giving them a filthy slap in the face, doesn't it make logical sense to get in direct touch with that individual and apologize, especially since you've had rapport in the past? You've been filmed on numerous occasions together. As at 3 days after the fact, according to Tony Rock, Chris Rock's brother, there had still been no direct contact to apologize directly. Let's jump into today's show. Hello, welcome to the Leadership Street podcast, where we talk about all things leadership. Now, in social media and the news recently, there's a lot of buzz about what happened at the Oscars. But first of all, out of respect, I would like to show and send some love to the great people of Ukraine, because what is going down right now in Europe is crazy. What is going down right now in Russia and Ukraine needs to be talked about even more than anything that went down at the Oscars. So let me get that out of the way first and just say, sending my love to the people of Ukraine, sending my prayers, and I'm praying that better things happen as far as this current conflict is concerned. Now, with that said, let's go back to talking about the crazy stuff that happened over the weekend. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. That, first of all, was absolute disrespect. It was disrespect of the audience. It was disrespect of the fellow guests that had been invited for a civil night of celebration and award and reward for all their hard work. It was disrespect of the homeowner. Think about it like this. The Academy is the homeowner. They invite you as a guest into their house to enjoy and mingle with others in a civil way. And you disrespect them by assaulting a co-worker, by disrespecting a co-worker, by emasculating your fellow co-worker. People will go further to say your fellow man. It was an absolute disgrace. It was shame. What wasn't it? It was everything unimaginable. The worst of the worst that you could ever imagine. A nightmare for the Academy. Think about it like this. It was violence in the workplace. It was an assault on freedom of speech. It was an assault on comedians. And being a fellow comedian, what a pain that was to watch. How hard was it to watch? An assault on people of every race everywhere. We can no longer say what we mean as a harmless joke or as an expensive joke. People will not be making expensive jokes very much in the world of comedy, I can tell you that. Now, all those people, crazies out there that have done terrible things to people as a result of what they said or did are now going to feel, well, I guess I'm vilified for my aggression, for my violence. I witnessed in my life one day back in high school, someone give a fellow student a punch in the face. The student fell to the ground, hit his head, and died. Bad things happen, my friends, when you cannot control your emotions, when you cannot control yourself. So in my mind, it was violence on all people being vilified for things they might have said or did. It reminds me of the Cain and Abel situation all over again. Bad things could have happened. Worse things could have happened if Chris decided to go after him and suck him one in the face. That could have happened. Now, he chose his victim because he wouldn't do that with just anyone. He chose, and he was a easy target in my mind. Think about it. The likes of Questlove, who had toiled and worked on this documentary. No one even remembers which documentary won the award, right? Because everyone was focused. It took away everyone's thunder. This is what the buzz is about. Why it's still going on after all these days. It's because there are thousands and millions of people that have been affected. Do you know how many kids saw what went down on TV? In all of my decades of existence, I do not remember seeing a fellow actor walk on stage on live TV and hit. Never seen it. Never wish to see it again. And you know what? On top of that, the unfiltered profanity that was on live TV. We didn't witness it in the United States, but all around the world in international audiences, they heard it in Australia, they heard it in Asia, and my goodness, how embarrassing. Everything that you have built up for the past 30 plus years in your career has come to a crash landing because of one fleeting moment of lack of control. Refusal to sit down and think about what you're about to do for just 1 second, because I'm telling you, if he had seen what came after, he wouldn't have gone up from that seat. One moment, one fleeting moment of anger could cause a whole lot of heartache. Now, another reason why you keep hearing this in the news, in the media, is because it casts a cloud of doom and sadness and bewilderment on the entire audience and everyone who saw it. There's so many things wrong with this on different levels. There's shock. People are still trying to process what happened. And what we can learn from this is never act in the heat of the moment. Never act in the heat of anger. Never act in the heat of shock. Let it marinate and settle down for a while before you do anything else. He should never have stood up from that seat. He should never have walked up to that stage. He violated protocol in doing that. And when we put checks and balances in place and give people guidelines about how to act under certain circumstances in a public situation such as that, it's to protect people. People know you don't walk on stage without being invited. He did that. He violated so many things, right? And now he has to face the consequences. The people at the academy are still trying to process, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to take the award from him? Are we going to ban him for next year? And, of course, the recruiters, because let's just call it what it is, whether it's a film house, film production, directors, producers, they're recruiters. And the question is going to be, is he safe to have around on the set? It's a loose cannon that we got walking around here. Probably not a good idea. All that he has worked for the past 30 years has crash landed. Trust is like change in a leader's pocket. Anytime you do something good to your stakeholders, to people around you, your audience, they give you a little bit of change. That change goes into your pocket. Your pocket's getting fuller as you do great things, as you act these movies, as you comment on things that are affecting the world, as you show humanitarian grace and understanding. They're giving you more and more trust. But it gets to a point. If you so much as violate any basic human principle, such as being kind to your fellow man, turning the other cheek, not being crazy and assaulting people, right? But if you violate any of the basic principles, you immediately begin to lose change. Some people lose change on a constant basis till they are bankrupt. What happened to Will is he didn't lose change over a period. He lost his whole life savings in a split of a second because of the inability to weigh a situation, cognitively assess, what is it going to pay me if I do this? It won't pay anything. Actually, it would rob you, and not just you, the fellow actors, people who had been on stage with him all throughout his career, the likes of Denzel and Tyler and Bradley trying to console him, but it was premature because what's coming down the pike is going to be worse than anything he ever felt in that ceremony, my friends. So as far as sense making is concerned for this, the passage of time is your friend. Secondly, the passage of time helps people understand consequences of their actions. Will has got to ride it out, but he also needs to lean into it and own it and claim it. That's what leaders do. They lean in, they own it, and they claim it. That is exactly how to approach when you've made a major goof. This isn't just a tiny little goof, it's a major goof. And he just seemed to bury himself more and more, talking about Will now, in the passage of time between what happened and the day after. He had a perfect platform to apologize to all the people who saw that same mistake that he made. And he blew it. He blew it on so many levels. Now, if you look at the setup of that joke, and you see how Chris Rock was moving across the room and he had just commented on another actor saying, I bet you're praying that Will should win. Because if your wife loses, you don't win. Right? So he had already made reference to him. So Will kind of saw him coming to him. And he was laughing at that joke. And then Chris immediately just rolled into the other joke. And he laughed immediately, probably just going with the flow of the room. It was quite abrupt. No one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. The awards people, they also have some element of blame in this. In that, it could have been prevented with security. Who walks on a stage on live TV without security being given a buffer? That right there is a risk waiting to happen. All right? Because the idea is that everyone in the room is sane and cognitively sound. No. People will shock you, and that's what happened. If there was an element of buffer and security, that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. But now the Academy needs to think, what are we going to do? Will's team needs to think, what are we going to do? How do we fix this? How do we make it right? And honestly, it will never be made right. That's one thing we should always remember. We can never erase the bad that has been done. We can only live with it, cope with it. And it's a lesson to everyone to think before they act. On every level, there are mistakes I have made. I can never take them away. I can never erase them. I use them as examples of foolishness that you shouldn't do. People that you might have hurt in the workplace, in business, in life, you will never be able to erase what you did. And you have to live every single day with the consequences. But what is worse is when such a mistake is made on a catastrophic level. If this happened in a bar, no one's going to be talking about it the day after, the hour after, the minute after. But when this happens on a world stage, when this happens to someone who has been, to many people, a beacon, a light, an example, of course, until recently, with all the buzz in the news in the wrong direction, there's consequences. Trust is like change in a leader's pocket. When you do good things, you're solvent. Right? When you have that trust, you're solvent. But when you violate trust, just like he violated trust, Will violated the trust of the Academy people, of his colleagues, of everyone in that room and everyone in the world who was watching. He violated trust. And that's why right now, not monetarily, but in terms of trust, in terms of respect, he's just about bankrupt. Now, there's some jokers who keep saying, yeah, what he did was good. He stood up for his woman. He stood up for his woman in the wrong way. It was a wrong thing to do. So people who are coming out and saying, yeah, I wish I had a man to defend me like that. Good luck when you're broke. Because that is not the way to defend your wife in a civil society over words that were said. There are many other things he could have done. As quick-witted as he typically is, he definitely could have done better. And even if he couldn't, he shouldn't have resorted to fists. So, my friends, for the past number of minutes, we've spent time analyzing this situation. I'm curious to know what you think. You got any ideas? Drop me a comment below. Let me know what you think.